there's a reason that when you're great with kids, you're going to be really good with women as well as a man. And the reason being is because of patience. And it's also because, well, a lot of the times women will have the emotional and sporadic behavior of a child. And I'm not trying to belittle women here. I'm not trying to dog on them. I'm just saying that that is what it is. And we have to acknowledge that as men, that we have to take responsibility for our women. And one thing that I will say also is that being able to attract any woman that I want, and in some ways being irresistible to a multitude of women. Not all of them, of course. There's going to be some women that just don't vibe with you and don't rock with you no matter what you do. But if you're a man that can attract any kind of woman you want simply by the way that you carry yourself, a lot of people think that it's looks. And I used to believe this as well. And there is a degree of truth to getting your body on point and being healthy. Of course, that would be something that you ought to strive to do just because of its intrinsic value and its own utility for your own life and health. But that's also a signal to women that you take care of yourself and you take care of your body and you value your body. But one thing that I've noticed in particular more than anything else that is making a godly bad boy, let's say, irresistible to women is his ability to be present. A present man, or a godly bad boy in this instance, will be able to show understanding, will be able to listen and to not judge, but to also recognize when he's being played or not. And this is what so many men have an issue with. So many men have a problem with being able to discern when a woman is playing them or not. And in fact, it seems to me that at this point in my life, I'm having a difficult time more so with keeping women away than actually trying to get women. And while that's a good problem to have, it's also a issue of how do I navigate this terrain, because it is relatively new. I've only been experiencing this for a few years, because for the years before that and prior to that, I was practically invisible to a lot of women. At least I felt so. And it was partially because I was not in a proper relationship with myself. I would be getting my validation and my self-esteem from whether or not people were paying attention to me, because I was very deprived of that growing up, and I had to learn how to give myself that with God. And so a lot of men have this issue of self-respect and self-esteem when it comes to attracting women. But if you notice, all of the men, even the best of the best men, also have the smallest dating pools. Really, in reality, even though a lot of women want them, the dating pool for the godly bad boy in this case, he has a small dating pool because he understands that many of the women are not who they claim to be. They're not as innocent as they portray themselves to be. And you can tell this by a few different kinds of indicators off rip. If the woman is loud and clamorous, or if she cannot keep eye contact really well, or if she's hyper self-confident in herself. This is all indicators that she is going to be in the experienced category, let's say. And sometimes the reason why, because it'll depend on the eye contact. Sometimes she can't keep eye contact with you because she knows that you can see through her. But other times she has this intense eye contact where her eyes almost look black. In fact, I've seen many women where I look into their eyes for the first time and I see this blackness in their eyes and I see this dark hole, and I know that that's a woman that's a Jezebel spirit or a narcissist, because that's the kind of woman that she's going to eat your soul. She's just a void. But then, down the line, if you happen to make eye contact again with her, then her color comes back. But that first instinct where you see her true self, that's an indicator of a demonic possession of some kind. And a lot of these women out here are demonically possessed. So you can attract a lot of men. Well, you can attract a lot of men, I guess, too, but you can attract a lot of women as a man, but that doesn't mean that they are actually going to be good for you. Okay, as a man, you have to recognize, men out there, that most of the women that you're dealing with are not going to be marriage material. And as a godly man, if you truly want to be a godlike savage, okay, this is like part of the Regal Change brand here, is being a godlike savage for the men and being a warm, inviting, feminine, empathetic woman for the women. If you truly want to be a godlike savage, if you are really striving to be on that spectrum, you don't sleep around. You don't have these casual affairs. If you're going to date, you do it for long-term relationships. That's what I am advocating for here. I do not advocate, because this is the thing, right? And women will have their fair share to say about this as well when it comes to the men, because a lot of men don't take relationships seriously. And a lot of men don't really want to have long-term relationships anymore because they're not seeing the point of it. But the problem is that they're seeing marriage as something that they're going to be taken away from, I think. They're seeing marriage as a way that they're going to have to show care, they're going to have to show understanding, they're going to have to listen, and they're not going to get anything in return because the woman is the prize. Well, it is the case that women are the prize, so to speak. A lot of men will say that women are the prize, but I don't know if that's actually the case, because the reason that you build yourself up as a man is to have a virtuous companion, such as a woman, and a family, hopefully. That's at least the ideal goal, right? That would be the reason. The only reason that we men strive to build stuff and create stuff is for not us bending to the eternal image of women, but to give the eternal image of woman something beautiful to believe in and to have faith in. Because the spiritual leadership aspect of a man is so potent to a woman and her development that if she doesn't have that, well, then she's destined to bring other men to the gates of hell. That's just who she's going to be. That's just what she's going to be. And I saw this video earlier today on X. One of these OF women that slept with like 100 dudes in a day or whatever. She had another group of like 50 guys, and I would say 75% of them were wearing masks, and they were all lined up outside in the cold or whatever, waiting to go in and, shoot their load and go out. And the lack of shame on the men that didn't have masks was just astounding. And if you look at their body language and you look at their physiques, they're not fit. They definitely don't seem like they're nutritious. Their acne is everywhere. They silky hair, gross stuff. And I'm just thinking to myself, this is the problem right here. Is they clearly don't want to take care of themselves, and so they're going to pay to have this experience. But the problem is that when you pay for that kind of a thing, that kind of energy is being put out into the universe, and you're telling God, like, hey, I don't think that I'm good enough as I am to be rewarded that which you want for me, God. I don't think I'm good enough. And, well, you might not be good enough. That's the truth. But that doesn't mean that you're incapable. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't strive for more. We don't eradicate striving on this channel. Okay, we don't eradicate striving on what I'm trying to help people understand about themselves and life in general. To eradicate striving from your life is to completely absolve and dissolve the ability to suffer with temperance and with fortitude. And that's ultimately what's going to be most attractive to women, is being able to solve your own problems as well. If you can solve your own problems as a man, if you can have the potential to gather resources and carry it into the relationship, that's going to be attractive. But I don't want to be so focused on what women are attracted to, because by you just being who you are naturally as a man is going to be what attracts them the most. And I know that from experience, because as I said, it's presence. They want a present man who can spiritually lead them to the promised land. Okay? Think about Adam and Eve. In fact, I might make a whole video about this topic because it needs to be expanded upon. But I will say this. I don't think that it's Eve's fault that we're not in paradise anymore. I think it's Adam's fault. And the reason, and it's not because I want to not give women any accountability, that because they definitely need to be accountable. But if we talk about the spirit of man and the spirit of woman as a whole, woman with a capital W and man with a capital M, if we talk about the spirit of man and the spirit of woman, the spirit of woman is a weaker vessel by nature, but it's Adam's job to lead her. Now, Eve fell into sin. Yes, but Adam also had the same kind of temptation. And it wasn't until the woman led him into sin that everything fell apart, right? Well, that means that women get to sin. And I'm not saying that, I'm going to be very careful with my phrasing here. It's not that women get to sin, it's that it's more understandable for a woman to sin than it is for a man. The reason being is because man was commanded by God to lead the woman. If Eve came back to Adam and then Adam said, no, we're not going to do that again, they wouldn't have fallen out of paradise, according to Scripture. So, because Adam went back, that's what happened. That's what caused the collide. So, yes, it is the case that in some more drastic fashion, yes, Eve was the one that went to it first and led Adam there, but Adam also let himself be led when he was commanded by God not to. He was commanded by God to lead the woman and for the woman to be the helpmate. So, am I giving the spirit of woman a pass? No. But it's more understandable for women, capital W there, it's more understandable for woman to sin than it is for man. Man is tasked with something completely different. Each have their own different challenges. It's not harder to be a man than it is to be a woman. But this is one of the other reasons why being irresistible as a godly bad boy to women is something that it's not necessarily a burden, but it's not a privilege either really anymore that I see. Because now you're making up for that sin. You're recognizing, yes, I'm capable of adventure. Yes, I'm capable of danger, but I'm going to stick to spirit and truth nonetheless as a godly bad boy, as a godlike savage. That's the proclivity that you have to do that, and to not be led into hell by Eve. That is what women are attracted to, because they need that spiritual leadership. They literally need it. Okay, this is why I opened at the very beginning with the children. If you can deal with the patience of children and having a patience like a child, or with the child, then you'll be able to have patience with women. So I hope this video was useful and insightful for you, but also gave you some more insight on why it's not always going to be the case that being irresistible to women is the goal, okay? It's not the goal. It's going to be a byproduct of just you being the best version of yourself and not taking what women say to be absolute. Okay, as soon as I stopped taking what women say to be absolute seriously, I felt so much more ease and peace in my life. As soon as I just started to pay more attention to their actions. It's not that I don't listen to women, because I do make them feel heard and valued and understood, but, and this is another thing, maybe I'll go a little bit more into this too. A lot of men think that, oh, well, if I can just treat women like crap, like that seems to be what they want. It's like, no, that's what toxic women want. And it just happens to be the case that majority of women are toxic nowadays. So it seems like that's the case because there's just so much of it. Okay, but that's not the case. I've met good women. I know good women, and they're not like that. They're just not. It's a really profound difference when you meet a woman that's actually submissive, that's actually calm, that actually is understanding of your leadership, and she knows that she needs that leadership. There's such a profound difference that very few men will be able to experience it. And it's because they don't know how to lead their own life. That's the biggest problem. So I hope that this was encouraging and eye-opening for you all out there and insightful and useful. If you do want to join the Regal Change Academy, we have the paid community where right now we are doing a Legends of Stoicism class series. This has been profoundly helpful. Like the outcome that people are getting from these classes that we're doing has been astounding. There's a greater understanding of principles that they can apply to their own life, and just a better way to understand how you don't need to try to control things that are out of your control. And one of those things is women, like for the men at least in there. And they're getting more of a deeper understanding of not just the philosophical value, but also the practical value as well that they can apply to all parts of their lives, and women too. But we also have other classes in there. We have the meditation workshop, the Godlike Savage workshop, 7 Deadly Sins, entrepreneurial minds, and AI optimization. We've been making AI optimization updates for that class because there's been so many updates for the AI, it's crazy. But that's all in the paid community, links in the description box below. If you do want to join the free Telegram subscription, the link's also in the description box below. And I appreciate everybody tuning in and moving from the YouTube platform over to X, Rumble, and Instagram. I really do appreciate your guys' extra support there. And with all that being said, peace be with you all. Until next time.